Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is Pro Football Today. Today, I want to take a look at the AFC West. We're going to finish off the AFC, give you my predictions for how I think the AFC West is going to look here in 2020. And I do want to say this is nice knowing that football, we know for a fact, will be going. NFL seems to have a pretty good plan in place to make sure players do not that we don't see any outbreaks like we see in the MLB. Taking a risk, not going with the bubble. But the virtual bubble so far has looked effective. It's actually, the numbers are a lot better than what I thought they're going to be. It looks fantastic. So it's no doubt right now football will happen here fall of 2020. So let's go to the AFC West. Number 4, last place in AFC West, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. Yep, I have them at number 4. Let me say this about the Chargers. Their defense, I think, is going to be better than what they were last season. They added Chris Harris. The one nice thing with the Chargers, they really didn't lose any corners to get Chris Harris. It's just going to make the secondary even better. A lot of times we're seeing, well, they lose a cornerback, so there's an opening, so they're just going to go ahead and fill that spot. This is what we see with Denver, and you also see that kind of happen with the Raiders as well. But with the Chargers, they have the secondary already. They add Chris Harris. It's just going to beef up that secondary even more. They add Linville Joseph, who, here's the thing when it comes to D tackles. Joseph is a fantastic D tackle. He does post up some good stats. But the nice thing about adding a D tackle, you need to have a solid D tackle. You have to have a solid D tackle. The reason is they swallow up so many blocks. They help out your edge rushers. You can have good edge rushers, but if you don't have that solid D tackle, it creates a lot more work for your edge rushers. So Joey Bosa in particular, having Linville Joseph there should help out Bosa incredibly. They also pay attention to the offensive line. Make sure the line is going to be stable for new starting running back Austin Eckler. Sounds like there might be a little bit of a committee there with Josh Jackson and then rookie Joshua Kelly. With they add Balaga there at tackle, and they also trade for Trey Turner there at guards. The offensive line is a little bit more stable than what they were last season. The biggest problem they have with the Chargers, and this is why I had the Chargers last place. This is a good team. And that's what you're going to see with this division. This is a fantastic division. I think it's the best division in the AFC and one of the best divisions in football. This is a fantastic division. Now, I can't remember if I said that about the South or not, but I think this division is a lot stronger than the AFC South. Big issue is quarterback. Rivers is gone. Given Rivers was a large reason for why they kept losing those one possession games in the fourth quarter. He just didn't have it. He tried launching it. It just didn't work. But even with that, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert, whoever's going to be the starter for the majority of the season. Week 1, it looks like Tyrod Taylor, but Justin Herbert could easily take over sometime in the year. Taylor said that he's learned through everything that happened in Cleveland that he doesn't want to give up his job that quickly, that he feels stronger than what he was before. He feels like he's a more capable starter than what he was in Cleveland. But the problem with that is we need to see it translate on the field. So you can say the right thing in an interview doesn't mean that you're going to translate that to the field. He's going to have to take a step up. How he did in Cleveland really was not good. I didn't expect him to be that bad. I expected Baker's going to take over at some point. I mean, first pick overall, how can you not? But I do expect Herbert to play at some point this season. I'm projecting about week 5, week 6, you're going to see Justin Herbert in his first start. That's not his first appearance. I'm going to have that as his first start, week 5 or week 6. Or 5th or 6th game. But the problem is neither one of these guys is Phillip Rivers. Tyrod Taylor's a good quarterback. He's been known as a good bridge quarterback. He really hasn't shown that he's a franchise guy. Had some opportunities there in Buffalo. Had some good times in Buffalo. Definitely had a pretty large shot. They decided to move on from him, go with Josh Allen. But in Herbert, he's a rookie. Doesn't mean that he's going to have a bad career. He's not Phillip Rivers right now in 2020. So they're going to go downhill a little bit when it comes to that. So it's going to take some time for them to figure out how the offense is going to work with either Tyrod Taylor or with Justin Herbert. I haven't pretty much locked in 2021, maybe being a surprise team into the playoffs, but this year it's just not going to happen. This is a good division. I got to put them down there at fourth place. And it's just because the offense is going to be a little rocky. You lose Melvin Gordon, so you're putting a lot on Austin Eckler, a lot on Jackson. So, and there's some issues when it comes to that. The offense might look a little shaky. They might be good, but I think it's safer to say they're going to be a little bit shakier, and that's going to be the main reason they go down to number 4. Defense is good, but it's not good enough to carry the team completely out of last place. Third place, I have the Denver Broncos. Denver, I like a lot of stuff they've done. There's one issue they have with Denver. Well, I guess I can say a couple issues. The main issue is their defense is a good, solid defense. It's not what they used to be. They lost Derek Wolfe, a capable player. They did have Jarrell Casey, who, once again, fantastic D-tackle. Fantastic D-tackle. They lose Chris Harris to the Chargers. They trade for A.J. Bouye. The main problem that I have with Denver is they're about the same. They weren't a monster defense. They're a good defense. They're a good defense, but not a monster defense. They really didn't improve on defense, really is what it comes down to. And their offense, this is another issue they have with the Broncos, is mainly receiving core. The receiving core has a bunch of potential, but it's kind of like the Texans receiving core. It's kind of like the Texans receiving core in that we don't know who's going to be the playmaker. I mean, with the Texans, we can assume, okay, it's probably going to be Brandon Cooks. But you also have a bunch of players, Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills, Will Fuller. With Denver, you don't necessarily have, like, well, this guy's going to be the number 1. The closest thing to it is going to be Courtland Sutton. Even then, Courtland Sutton hasn't shown fully that he can be the number 1 receiver. It's kind of like Devontae Parker. Finally, Parker had a pretty decent season last year. If he's had a breakout season last year, it was definitely his breakout season. We're kind of waiting for that with Sutton. He's shown some flashes. He's shown some promise, but he hasn't shown that, yes, I'm the number 1 guy. I'm the number 1 target. You never have to look for a number 1 receiver. And that's shown by the fact they had to go and grab Judy in the first round. They grabbed KJ Hamler, then I believe in the second round. So a lot of that may be that they want speedy receivers to compete with the Chiefs. Instead of trying to beat them on defense, let's see if we can outscore them on offense. But you have 4 now capable receivers. And adding Judy and Hamler kind of shows me that maybe they don't have complete faith in Courtland Sutton. They expect him that he can be the guy. It definitely shows they don't trust Deshaun Hamilton fully. But you don't have number 1 receiver there. You have a couple players that have potential. That's Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. I think Courtland Sutton, I think a lot of people can agree, has the best chance of anyone. But you can't rule out Deshaun Hamilton or KJ Hamler just yet. I think they have a less likelihood of Jeudy and Sutton, but you don't have the number 1 guy. And Drew Lock, he showed flashes, but we have just a small sample size of what Drew Lock looks like as a franchise quarterback. We really haven't seen a whole lot. He looked great the last part of the season. He did look great. But there's a lot of question marks. Is he a capable starter? We don't have enough to really say for sure. Does he have number 1 receiver? What in the world is going on there with the running back position as well? They have a lot of running backs. You have Melvin Gordon, you have Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman. What in the world is going on there? I mean, obviously, 3 good running backs is not really a bad problem. If you're a fantasy player, it does add a little bit of frustration not knowing who's going to be the workhorse. Is it going to be Gordon? How many snaps is Philip Lindsay or Royce Freeman? Are both of them going to take from Melvin Gordon? There's a lot of questions when it comes to that. Just looking at taking fantasy out of the matter, just looking at how teams can have success. I mean, it definitely goes up when you add Melvin Gordon. It's not an issue. It's just an issue on who's going to be seeing the majority of the snaps. But Denver, that's my issue with them. Offense, it's growing a little shaky. We don't know what to expect. They need to have, it's not just on Drew Lock, they need to have a stable receiving core. They need someone to step up, at least one of these guys to really step up. So we'll see exactly what happens there. Defense, good defense, they don't really improve, and that's fine. I mean, obviously you want them to improve a little bit, but it's mainly the offense. It could work. It easily could work, but I think it's safer to say they'll be third. Do they have a chance? Absolutely. I think Sutton has a really good potential. I think Jerry Jeudy has good potential that you could see them. If one or both of them break out, Denver's going to have a really good season. I think they can easily step up to number 2. But for my pick, I'm choosing them to be number 3, and it's mainly because look at the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I'm looking at my cheat sheet here, and I can tell you they have put in a lot of work. Their additions greatly outweigh what they lost. And this was a team on the fringe of making playoffs last season. So let's go by what they lost. Lost a couple linebackers, veterans Tahir Whitehead and Vontaze Burfict. I don't think it necessarily hurts them too much. Both those players, you could say, are definitely past their prime. So replacing them really doesn't take a whole lot of effort. They do lose former first-round pick Carl Joseph. Once again, well, the thing is with Carl Joseph, he's shown some flashes, but he hasn't shown that, yes, he can be a safety you can keep around for a while. And they lost Daryl Worley, who I think had the most potential of anyone they lost. Worley showed that he can be a really good corner. And I think that's probably the biggest hit is when it comes to cornerback. They just replaced him with Damon Arnett in the first round. Don't know why they went Arnett in the first round. There's other guys they could have gotten. But they still addressed a cornerback spot there. Now, if you take a look at what they added, though, and this is fantastic. Let's look at the defensive side of things. Nick Kwiatkowski and Corey Littleton, 2 incredible linebackers. Kwiatkowski really showed up last season. He was a trade target in preseason the year before. A lot of speculation he could be traded. There wasn't a whole lot of potential with them. But then Trevathan gets hurt. Roquan misses some games. And Kwiatkowski showed that he can be an incredible linebacker. He actually arguably was the best linebacker for the Bears last season, inside linebacker anyway. Kwiatkowski was amazing. And Littleton was better. I mean, you have 2 incredible linebackers. They're huge upgrades over Burfict and Whitehead. For safety and cornerback, you go and add Damaris Randall, who I think he reminds me a little bit of Daryl Worley. He's shown some flashes. He's not an incredible guy. He's been bouncing around the league, but he is still a capable cornerback / safety. And then Jeff Heath, who's had some good years with Dallas. And they also add Prince Amukamara. Amukamara has kind of slowed down a little bit. You can argue that he's past his prime. Last year was not a great year for him in Chicago. But still, he does add some depth there. The cornerback spot adds some experience. Probably a better option than Arnett to start things off with. But Arnett could potentially take that job away at some point. Defensive line, you add Malik Collins, who had, once again, had some good years with Dallas. You add Carl Nassib, who's I think an underrated defensive end. I mean, this defense, holy cow, they've improved. On paper, anyway, they have improved. This can be an electric defense. I think a defense that no one really thinks about. They have a chance to be one of the top defenses this year. And offense, this is what they needed. Ever since last season, they grabbed Antonio Brown. They needed a number one receiver. They haven't had a number one receiver. Well, since Amari Cooper, they traded Amari Cooper to Dallas, and they never really had a replacement for him. They picked up Tyrell Williams in free agency, then, of course, traded for Antonio Brown, who never suited up for the Raiders. He was traded or released and picked up by the Patriots. So, finally, though, the Raiders kind of still on the receivers. Tyrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow, two good options for them. Then they draft Henry Ruggs. They pick up Nelson Aguilar. And then they also pick up Jason Witten. You thought their defense was impressive. It was impressive. Now take a look at their offense. Derek Carr has no excuse. No excuse this year. He doesn't have incredible options. I mean, Nelson Aguilar, he's shown some flashes back when Nick Foles was the Eagles quarterback. Him and Carson Wentz never really saw eye to eye. Aguilar dropped a lot of passes, couldn't track the ball. But now it's a fresh start. Maybe, just maybe, he can work things out with Derek Carr. Henry Ruggs, I think, was the most effective receiver out of him and Judy. I think Ruggs will have probably the best rookie year out of all rookie receivers. And then Hunter Renfrow, no one really expected him to take off like he did. So when you think about it, Nelson Aguilar, it's kind of maybe the third or fourth option here. So to have Aguilar as your third or fourth option really isn't that bad when you think about it. And Jason Witten, you may say, well, a few years ago that's a good pickup. Now, maybe not so much. He's a second string behind Darren Waller. And what I like most about that is not necessarily his how he's going to play out there in the field. I think what's more important with Jason Witten is you add a leader to that tight end core who can then teach Darren Waller. I think that's huge. Darren Waller now has about as good as a mentor as you can have in Jason Witten. I think you're going to see Darren Waller improve even more and develop even more as a capable starting tight end. So the Raiders, number 2. And here's the thing. Remember, the NFL has changed their playoff format. 7 teams now make it to the playoffs, meaning that we have 3 wild card spots now. I think the Raiders can easily take that spot. Yes, I'm picking the Raiders over the Titans for that final playoff spot. Then I don't need to spend too much time on who's number 1. We all know who's number 1. I think the number 1 team in the AFC, most capable team in the AFC. I love the Ravens. But the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you can't go away from them. They've lost a few players, a couple due to opt-outs, which I think it's worked out for the Chiefs, though. Yes, you lose 2 starters, but I think it's okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire now is the undisputed starter. I think you can see some good things from Edwards-Helaire. And then you add Khaleke Ostermiel to take over that guard spot that's been vacated. The thing about the Chiefs, they really haven't lost anyone. That's their biggest losses. Were to opting out for 2020. And they've pretty much got those holes filled. You only lost 2 people in free agency, 2 key players, and that's Jordan Lucas and Reggie Ragland. Those 2 guys, not really huge losses at all. You had Taco Charlton, I had Mike Remmers, you had Willie Gay Jr. in the draft. The Chiefs are going to be as good as they were last year, maybe even better. It's no doubt Chiefs have got this in the bag. I don't care if Damian Williams is not the starting running back. He really wasn't that great. Start things off with. I think Edwards-Helaire would be just fine there at the Chiefs. So to sum everything up, the AFC West, number 4, got the Chargers, number 3, the Broncos, number 2, the Raiders, making that last playoff spot. And then we have the Chiefs, undisputed, number 1. So there's the AFC West. Let's go over the AFC playoff picture. There's only one team that gets a bye. I'm going to put the Chiefs in that spot. It can go either way between the Chiefs and the Ravens. I am going to put my money on the Kansas City Chiefs, taking that number 1 spot. Number 2 spot then being the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, even with all the starters that have opted out, Belichick will find a way. I got to put the Patriots there, number 3, with Houston going at number 4. And then we have the wild card spots. Number 5, I think you have the Buffalo Bills, who are going to be battling it for a division against the Patriots, and they're going to come, I'm going to say, one game away from winning division. And that will earn them the 5th seed. 6th seed, I'll be going with the Colts. I think you're going to see a large resurgence with the Colts now with a more capable option at quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. I think Phillip Rivers will get things done. They need that veteran QB presence, and that's what Phillip Rivers brings to the table. You're going to see guys like T.Y. Hilton, potentially seeing young guys like Paris Campbell, guys like Michael Pittman Jr. taking that step up. Tight end, I think you're going to see some good things from Jack Doyle. I think you could see some good things from Trey Burton. I think the Colts easily make playoffs this year, taking that number 6 spot and number 7 instead of the Titans, who made the number 60 last year. I'm going to put the Raiders. The Raiders were just a game away from making playoffs last season, and with the additions that they've made, I think they could take this league by storm this year. I think there's always that one surprise team from each conference, and I'm going to say that surprise team is going to be the Raiders, because I don't classify the Colts as too much of a surprise team. They fell due to Andrew Luck retiring unexpectedly. Now that you add another quarterback there, I don't necessarily count that as a surprise team. Some people had them as winning the Super Bowl last year, but just losing Andrew Luck changed a lot, and Phillip Rivers, I think, fits that pretty good-sized hole left by Luck. So the surprise team I'm going to have is the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be a lot better than what people expect them to be. Kind of like what the Bears were back in 2018 and what the Eagles were the year before. So that's why I have here today. AFC is done. Get the playoff picture. We'll see exactly how that's going to play out this year, and also I have my predictions for how the NFC is going to look, as well as playoffs. So I will try to get these videos out a little bit more. Season starts within a month. Can you believe it? So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit the bell, subscribe, place a comment. Maybe I got things right, maybe I got things wrong. Tell me why. Don't be afraid to post that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day.